Hi friends, this is Smita, a personal empowerment and executive life coach. And today I'm going to talk about how to give negative feedback to your manager. Now, giving negative feedback to anyone in itself can be a daunting task, right? But when it comes to your manager, it can be a different, scary ballgame altogether. If you are like me, sometime in past, you might have wondered whether to go ahead and have this discussion or to just let the matter be. But at times, when your work-life balance is getting impacted or your productivity and output at work is getting adversely affected, it becomes an imperative to have this conversation. So, if you have taken the decision to have this conversation, congratulations. It's a courageous decision that you have taken. But being courageous in itself is not going to be enough. You have to be smart to make sure to convey your points without overstepping the boundaries. And that is where my 4 step process would help. Step number 1 is to take a step back and analyze whether the situation is a mountain or a molehill. Think the situation that you are finding yourself currently. Is it something that has started happening lately or has been occurring at regular intervals for as far as you can remember? Example, you might be bothered with the fact that you are having a conversation with your boss every weekend or after office hours lately. But is it something that has started recently? Maybe then the culprit is the difficult project that you both are working on together. Or is it something that has been happening ever since you have started to work with it? If it's the former, then it might be wise to actually wait for this temporary occurrence to pass and not have this conversation. You need to pick your battles, and temporary one-off instances aren't worth fighting for. But if you have deliberated and decide that the situation is actually a mountain warranting this conversation, then the next step is to prepare. Take some time and put down your thoughts on a piece of paper. See, you are already nervous thinking about this conversation. Putting your thoughts, your points in a manner such that it points to the behavior rather than the person will help to keep things in perspective. It will make sure that you are more organized in your conversation and don't run helter skelter with the points. Now, once you have put down your points, visualize. Have an imaginary conversation with your manager where you see yourself conveying these points effectively. See your manager giving some counter to those points and again visualize yourself responding to those counters. You are prepared once you visualize. Now, after this visualization, the last step within the prepare is to have this conversation with a trusted friend or colleague. See, it is an important conversation and it always helps to get a different neutral perspective. You might get some pointers which will enable you to modify your conversation and have it more effectively. Now, doing all this preparation will give you a twofold advantage. One, your mind is already prepared. You have had this conversation twice. First, when you visualize, second, when you discuss it with your colleague. So, when you have the actual conversation, you won't find yourself mincing words or fumbling for words. Number two, when you actually see yourself or discuss this conversation with somebody else, it will again give you a perspective whether what you are doing is a step towards the right direction or it makes sense to let it go. If it is the later, then of course you can change your mind. If it's the former and you need to have this conversation, then step number 3 of the 4-act process is to basically go and have this conversation. Respectfully ask for a time from your boss. Once you get that time, be sure to convey your points in a respectful yet assertive manner. Once you have conveyed your points, take a pause and wait for your manager to respond to those comments. Give him the time and space. Once the two-way conversation has happened, if everything goes well, excellent, all is well. If the outcome is not something that you actually desired, then respectfully step away from the discussion. You are a professional, and every professional has the right to convey his points. As long as you were respectful, it is perfectly fine. Now, after you have come back from the conversation, the last step of this 4-act process is to say thanks irrespective of the outcome. This is the most important step. You might not have had the desired outcome, but your manager did take out the time to discuss the matter with you, right? Show gratitude for that time. This will not only show you in a more professional light, but help you to forge a more solid relationships, which will enable you to grow in your career. So that was the 4-step process. Have you ever found yourself in the past giving a feedback to someone who was your superior? How was your experience? I would be very interested to listen to your comments. Do write back to me or leave your comments on this. So that was all for today, friends. I will see you next time. Until then, bye bye.